welcome back to another episode of Stories from the Dirt. Today we have Liz with us again for a co-host. Hi, Liz.
Hello.
And our guests today are Team Tiny Riot, Amy and Charlotte. Hi, ladies. How are you today?
Hello. Doing good.
Hey, good morning. We're good.
All right. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourselves. Start off with who's the driver? Who's the navigator? What do you do outside of life of the Rebelle?
Sure. So I'm Amy. I'm our driver. I am a lawyer and I also train dogs. So I keep myself pretty busy and recently an aspiring rally driver. So doing lots of those kinds of related things.
Nice.
I'm Charlotte. I am the navigator. I'm a registered nurse, work in surgery, and play drums, and and now apparently I'm navigating.
Nice. So how did you guys come to find out about the Rebelle?
So I had a coworker who was having a very exciting conversation at work because he is very much a American Muscle, V8, all the gas guzzling you could possibly manage kind of guy. And post-COVID, our boss went and bought an electric vehicle. So they were having, an interesting conversation about that. And he happened across an article from last year's race where the Rivian team had, participated and had done really well. I think they won, but I don't remember that exactly last year. And so it just kind of came up from there. I had never heard of anything about it. And then I dragged her into it.
Nice. Now you guys are located where in the U.S.?
We're in Maryland.
You're in Maryland. Okay, so East Coast girls. And you both live in the same city close by?
Close by, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were much closer and then she moved. I'm still a little mad about it, but we're still about 20 minutes apart.
Not far, yeah.
I hate it when that happens.
Right?
I tried to get Liz to move to Utah and she moved to Montana. What the heck with these ladies?
Right? We were real close and then she just picked up and went. But we're still only 20 minutes apart, not states apart. So it worked out.
Yeah, that's
nice,
helpful.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're a good 12 hours.
More than you can do in a day usually.
Mm-hmm.
I did it once. I think it was 16. I lied. 12. I think I did 16 that one day to get to you from my house.
I think so, yeah. And I was like, I'll have dinner waiting, and I'm a terrible cook, so it was late. Anyways, so Amy finds out about it, drags Charlotte in. Were you guys friends before, obviously? Best friends? How's that work out for you?
We're friends. We met through a mutual friend I was playing in a band with and just hit it off. Got along really good.
Yeah. We realized we went out to Rebelle U in March. And as we were standing in line to get on the plane, we're like, we think this is the first time we've ever been alone together. So fingers crossed. Let's hope this goes the way we're hoping it will. And, we're still here. We're still a team. And so, but we just met through a friend and hit it off.
Nice. And then how did you decide who would do which role?
Well, I really wanted to drive. So I kind of came at it from hey, I'm going to do this thing. I want to be the driver. How do you feel about reading maps? Which is sort of how I courted her.
Which was, I'd rather read the map than drive. So it was good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Didn't have to fight over it, flip a coin, nothing. It's just, we knew kind of what we wanted to do. And we both agreed that we wanted to do different things. And so that made it easy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's a good match.
Yeah.
How was the Rebelle U experience then? You get on a plane, this is kind of your first time, touching into the rally, training in world. How did that go for you ladies?
So that is, I think it's fair to say actually the first time I have ever driven off-road was Rebelle U in March, 7 months before the rally. I was like, maybe I should give it a try. So there was a lot of, kind of demystifying that happened for me anyway. The only recurring dream I've ever had in my life is driving straight up a hill and like my vehicle falls off the back of a hill. So we're climbing hills and we had we rented a Gladiator with a rooftop tent. So like we've got all this weight in the back and this giant truck with this wheelbase on it. And I'm climbing these hills. I was like, well, either this is how I go or I learn that the truck will stay on the road. So and kind of same with the dunes, with just sort of going over the edge. I mean, we're East Coast. We've never even seen dunes like that, let alone trying to drive over them. So some of that was pretty terrifying. But
yeah, there were tears.
For
me, for me.
But it was an incredible experience. We had a great time working with, Emily and Chrissy and everybody else there, and just kind of starting to work through some of the mystery and kind of figure out what it is we had really kind of gotten ourselves into at like a very surface level. But that's how it was for me. So
yeah, it was very eye-opening. I realized a lot of things I did not know. But it was good. It was a good experience. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
they're amazing. Like all the teachers, all the volunteers, like
yes,
it's just I took the one of the Rebel U's last year before as a rookie and stuff, and it was just like everyone was so amazing and like again eye-opening, where I was just like, yeah, there's so much I didn't know, and I've been off-roading for a long time and still like going into that going like, wow, there's just so much I don't know. This is amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm kind of like finding where, like we only have so much time, and I'm starting totally from scratch as the driver, and so I'm kind of trying to find, where are the things that I know I don't know, and I'm not going to be able to learn it all. I've only got so much time to sort of figure it out. So I'm moving forward with training and that kind of thing, and trying not to worry about the things that I know I'm not going to touch, because I know I'm not going to be able to cover all that ground between now and October, and I can't let that stop me. I can't let that really get in the way, because we're doing this thing in a couple of months. So we've got to figure out how it is we're going to get it done.
Amazing. And what vehicle are you taking?
So we are actually renting one of Nina Barlow's Rubicons. We originally had kind of thought we've got access to a 2015 Grand Cherokee that we were going to try and outfit. And then once it really ended up just being more of a cost thing than anything else. Once we were figuring out what we were going to have to do to the Cherokee to get it ready and then ship it a couple of times back and forth across the country, it just made sense to go with Nina, especially because it kind of takes, now we're rookies in every sense. Yeah. And so it takes is our vehicle ready? Is our vehicle set up to pass tech? It just kind of takes that thing off the table. We know we're going to be set there. It creates a different problem, which is that I'm not really going to have any experience in our actual rally vehicle before we go to pick it up and drive it to Mammoth. But that's just kind of the give and take of the route we've chosen.
Yeah, it was the best route because having to ship it back and forth would have been a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And then unrally ready the Cherokee. So it can go back to being used every day just between the time and the cost and all that. So we decided to go with one of Nina's Wranglers.
Nice.
Yeah.
And will you get any opportunity to be in the Wrangler before, or will you'll show up to pick it up and then that'll be it? You'll go to the rally?
Well, we're going out in August to do some private training with Nina. So whether we'll be in exactly the one that we'll have for the rally, I don't really know yet, but we'll at least get some seat time in one of her rigs. I have a 2014 Wrangler that I'm in the middle of. I've only had it a couple of months, so I'm building it to be my practice vehicle. So I'll get close-ish in the next couple of months in terms of what I have to practice with at home, but we'll have 2 days in August that we'll get in one of her Wranglers, and then it's just pick it up and we'll figure out what we need to figure out on the drive up to Mammoth.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I've always thought of myself as a spontaneous person, but you ladies are inspiring. Leading up to this, you mentioned the B3s and how you felt your story was kind of similar, but they're not on the East Coast. They had the vehicle. Like, you guys are next level.
Okay, I'll take inspiring
Sure.
instead of crazy.
Yeah,
That
I
works
like
for
that.
me.
Well, I've been called crazy, so you're just inspiring crazy. I don't know.
Hey,
We
I'm good
inspire
with that.
something, yeah. As long as we're inspiring something, I guess. It's
Yeah.
good.
I mean, this thing that we're taking on, even if we had the experience, is still this massive, challenging, incredible thing that so few people consider, let alone actually do. So, like, I think we're probably all a little nuts. So I'm kind of happy to be included in the community, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then, Charlotte, how are you learning to navigate?
I'm just trying to figure out how to use my words and telling her how to go, where to go, and mapping things out, trying to practice that on maps that, well, we now have maps of the area here. I was using California maps, which I don't know if I was getting it right or not because I'm not in California. But we have some now here that I'm going to start plotting things and trying to figure it all out here.
Okay. Did you use the online classes?
I've been
Rebel U?
watching some of them. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's always a good place to start. And reading the rule books. Have you read the rule book yet?
I'm about halfway through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice,
I think we
nice.
spent some time with the 23 rules,
Yeah.
but the 24, we made our way through the competitor update, and then I have my rules, but I haven't started the 2014 rule book yet. It's just not made its way to the top of the to-do list just yet.
Yeah. Nice. So Charlotte, you've never done any kind of latitude, longitude plotting on a map before?
No, not really. No, not on a topographical map. I mean, I grew up
Okay.
a long time ago, so I had to use maps to get around before GPS was around. So,
Yes, I too am of that age bracket.
so I knew how to read a map. So, but plotting, I never had to plot before.
Yeah.
So that's a new experience.
Nice. And so your first exposure to that was the Rebel U class that you took in March?
We went to a one-day thing with REI and
Okay.
just went to a park and plotted. So learned how to read it and get around with it. And then we went there. And then actually plotting was Rebel U.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think it was mostly like compass stuff with the REI, like using, orienting the map, taking the headings and that sort of thing, which was sort of a first exposure for us.
Right. It was getting our toes in the sand there, and then the real information came from Rebel U.
Yeah. Reading the compass, that's important though.
Yeah.
It's a great place to start. What gear do you guys plan to take, and how did you decide which gear you might take?
Well, I mean, that question assumes we've got that figured out.
Yeah, we hadn't quite worked all that out yet. We were looking at tents just now, and I know we have to get helmets somehow over there.
Yeah, so the Facebook groups have been really helpful with people like asking about, like Charlotte said, we were just looking at tents right before we logged on here. We actually, Nina has been really helpful. She gave us kind of like a general pack list that we've been sort of using as kind of a starting point to figure out what we kind of need. I keep hearing every time I look at that list, I hear everybody saying, everybody brings too much. Don't bring too much. Don't overpack. Don't bring tons of clothes. You don't need tons of clothes. And I think Nina told us, she's like, we decided the most important thing was we had a clean shirt every day. Everything else we just kind of figured out. So we did the Q&A with Team Velocity the other week, and they were kind of talking about how they don't overpack, their food, especially that, the Rebel provides some stuff, and they were just sort of supplementing with the snacks they brought that made them happy and gave them their joy out on the trail. Yeah. So we've got a couple of lists running so that we can start kind of gathering stuff. But it's one of those other places that we're kind of stuck because I can't, I don't have the vehicle sitting in my driveway. So we can't go practice packing and figure out how much space we have and what else we can grab. So we're just going to have to kind of wing it and hope for the best in terms of hoping we've got space for everything else that we need. And I guess otherwise it'll spend the week in Nina's garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that since you're renting the vehicle from Nina, Barlow Adventures. So are you going to drive out with all of your stuff, or are you flying to pick up that vehicle and then go to Mammoth? And how are you getting all of your rally supplies and all of your stuff there?
We're flying, and she did offer for us to be able to ship some stuff to her place of business so that we don't have to fly with it. The bigger things we can ship over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We may try to, if there are some things like we're not campers really outside of this. We don't have a whole lot of use for camp gear between now and October. So we may try and gather it. And when we go out in August, maybe take some of it with us then so that we can kind of do some of the heavy lifting up front and then just leave it there. But then it'll probably be a combination of shipping and flying with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, even the logistics of that is like a whole next level thing. Like I haven't really, because I guess being on this side of the coast and closer, it's like I just pack it in the car and bring it down kind of thing. So it's like, I'm just thinking about that where it's like, okay, helmets, all the nav gear, all the clothing, and then you've got the required items. Are you guys bringing the required items like the spill kit and the fire extinguisher, stuff like that? Or is that provided with the rental, or do you have to bring that as well?
No, some of that bigger stuff is included. I think we need to have like our own, like our, whatever toolkit we were going to have with us, we need to get that over there. But there is a group of stuff that comes with the rental that we don't have to worry about. But it's been a logistical challenge for sure. Even trying to figure out because, you fly into Phoenix, but she's in Sedona, which is about an hour-ish drive. So do we rent a car and then pay for it to sit at Nina's until the rally is over so we can drive back? And there's a lot of, extra kind of little moving pieces that we're still working on sorting out because it is a lot of ground to cover in addition to all the other, what gear do we need? Do we have the right bags and the tent? Will it all fit? And it's a big thing.
Yeah, that's like it's like the rally before the rally. Like you have your own little rally going on where it's like, hey, we got to bring our gear and we got to figure out these logistics and like the rental car, or do you take a shuttle, but then you carry all your stuff on the shuttle with you from Phoenix to Sedona? Like, this is like mine. This is changing all these little gears in my mind going like, whoa, this is a whole next level of like your rally before the rally.
Yeah. It is. I don't know if we can rent a big enough Uber if they'll drive us an hour north from Sedona to Phoenix with all our gear. I've no idea. So we're, it's all just kind of, but the whole thing is so big for us because it's all totally new that it's just kind of like, it's just another piece of the pile that's, it's still going to be a big mountain, even if we didn't have those extra pieces to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. My mind is blown. Yesterday I had the opportunity to talk to team Hell's Bells she's from Texas. Gloria is. And so we talked about like altitude training because her teammate is in Southern California. And so they both live at sea level, which you guys in Maryland are pretty close to sea level. Are you doing anything to help prepare for like Mammoth Mountain?
Nope.
Nope.
The first time that had ever crossed my mind was I came across something in one of the Facebook groups and was like, oh, yeah, I guess that's something else we have to keep in mind. And so I think in terms of setting up, because we've got to go pick up the truck in Sedona and then get it to Mammoth, which I think is something about a 10-hour drive, we're going to have to be out even a couple extra days early on top of like the optional stuff that's for the rookies on Wednesday of the rally week. So I'm just kind of hoping we'll be there early enough to kind of acclimate, because I don't know that, we both work regular jobs. This is not the thing that we do for a living. So we've only got so much time in terms of getting out there, doing this 10-day thing, and then we've got to return the truck and then get home and ship all our gear. So I'm just kind of crossing our fingers that we can do what we can when, while we're traveling and getting out there to get set up.
Yeah. This is amazing to me. So after the rally, we have to do this again so we can really just get the full scope of the experience from you guys.
Sure. Yeah. Give us like a month or two to recover, because it may take that long, but we may still be waiting on gear that we let ship home the long way and take its sweet time. But a debrief sounds great.
Yeah. Wow. Like my mind is blown. My mind is just blown. So when I lived on the East Coast, I had this dream to do the rally, and I never could find anybody adventurous enough to be like, yeah, that's something I want to do with you. So I never really wrapped my head around all of these details that you guys are having to nail down, that like this will be my 3rd year, and so many of those things like I haven't had to worry about that. And so what inspired you to be like, yeah, we know nothing about this. We have almost none of the skills, if I may. Almost no experience doing any of it, but yeah, let's do this for 8 days.
Yeah. For me at least, what happened is that just about a year ago, I had a sudden, violent, and traumatic life event that literally turned my life on its head. In one moment, my life was never going to look anything the way it always had. And so it just kind of shifted my entire perspective. I've spent the last year rebuilding my life into whatever I want it to be, because I sort of had a chance to do that. And it just kind of fell into hey, why not? You never know when all of a sudden life is going to be totally different. Let's try this big, bad, scary, crazy thing, because what the hell? Let's just go for it. And I don't know why she said yes. I'm glad she did, but I'll let her answer for herself. I just got lucky in terms of finding a teammate.
Yeah, I don't know. She asked me to do it. I kind of felt honored that she even asked, that she believed in me enough to do that, and talked it over with my husband, and he's like, "Yeah, let's try it." So
yeah,
I said, "Okay."
I did the full pit. I brought her. I took them to dinner. I brought her own printed copy of the 2023 rules, because that's all we had at that point. Mm-hmm. And I sat her down and I was like, look, I don't want to talk you out of it from the first second, but this is a big, scary, very expensive thing. Please be my partner. Here are the details. Look it over. Think about it really hard. And if you're in, we're going to start moving, because we don't have a whole lot of time.
Yeah, I pondered it for a little while. And I'm like, yeah. Okay, something new to do. I haven't done this before, so why not try it?
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love this attitude of let's just say yes and figure it out after that.
Yeah. Yep, and that's exactly what it was. Yes. We're like, we don't have a clue, but if we're gonna commit, we'll figure out the rest of it on the way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So here we are, hopefully figuring it out.
Yeah.
Just jumping in.
Mm-hmm.
So are you guys planning to share a tent? Have you been working on your communication? I feel like communication and sharing a tent kind of go hand in hand, which is why I pair those up together.
Yeah, I think we were planning on sharing a tent. Definitely. Just would be easier to have one tent instead of two.
Yeah.
Unless the ship over or bring with, if you only have one tent versus two tents, like
Yeah.
space
Right.
wise.
Yeah. Well, and we did, we did we had the rooftop when we went for Rebel. So we shared a tent there, and it was so we came in the night before and spent a night. So we did, I guess it was 5 nights together, 4 or 5 nights, which is just, a little bit short of the rally, but, we managed that pretty well. And it was really helpful. When we were out there, we had 2 solid days of just absolutely bananas wins.
Oh, yeah.
It was just absolutely insane. And so the night before, we had finished Nav Day, which is day 3. And then the next day was the day we went out to actually hunt checkpoints and all that kind of thing. But we had to plot. And everybody else is out at the tables with, trying to put rocks down on the corner of their maps and figure that out. Let's just go to the tent. Let's just set this up in the tent. Actually, I took a video of, so we're up on top of the truck, and you can see the truck is kind of rocking a little bit, and the walls of the tent are blowing in and out like this as we're trying to plot. But it just worked for us to have the one shared space that we could get ready in, but also, figure out the work and just kind of hunch over the same tent in the same space. So figured, it worked. Why mess with it?
Right. Exactly. It did work.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So the march, that was the trials that you went to, the Rebel trials?
No, it was just just a regular Rebel. Yeah, but we did the full 4 days, the 2 driving and the 2, I guess it's
Navigation.
2 driving, a full nav day, and then kind of a put it all together day.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. I forgot
Mm-hmm.
the dates.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So, did you do an enduro? Did they do an enduro during that class?
We did. Yep.
How was that?
Actually, I learned something about myself during the enduro. So we did it twice. It was a really short one. And the first one was kind of a mess because we'd never done anything like that before. And we figured out at the end that we had gone too far, I think it was, at the end, maybe.
Or we didn't, was it that or we didn't go far enough? It was one of those. I think we went too far.
Yeah, we screwed something up at the end. So we automatically looped back around to do it a second time. And then we got to the end and my brain went, oh, we screwed this up last time. This is where we're supposed to be. And so I just turned, even though she hadn't told me to do anything. And it's all right, I need to be aware that if I think I know where I'm going, I'm not listening to her. And so I need to not do that and wait until my navigator tells me to do something before I just decide to take the vehicle in a direction or another.
I think we did pretty good, though. If I recall, the end result was not too awful.
I think that we were 4th-ish, maybe somewhere around there. There were 9 of us teams.
Yeah, something like that.
So somewhere solidly in the middle, I think, is where we ended up, which is not too bad. But it was a learning experience.
Yeah, it was the first time. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the enduros
Excellent.
are I don't know, sometimes they're hard, for sure, just because it's learning the communication. It's such different communication of how much is too much information and how much is enough information. And
right, that's the challenging thing for me because I'm afraid I'm giving too much information. Trying to be exact, and I need to just be brief with it. So that's something for me to learn.
Yeah, and that's an East Coast challenge we're having because we live in pretty populated suburban areas. So we so far have we've been working with some road books, but we haven't been able to really practice an enduro because we're surrounded by traffic and stoplights. And so we can't really account for how the time is going to work out because, where I live in particular, the lights are on a really interesting schedule, which is sometimes you're on a red light day and sometimes you're on a green light day. And you can't fix it by slowing up or speeding down in the middle. You either get all the green lights or all the red lights. And so you just have no way to tell. and we can't, like, oh, we've got 30 seconds to do this. Well, it's a red light day, so now it's all over. So
Yeah.
we've got to kind of be creative in finding a way to practice that particular skill, given where we live, which is in the middle of, it's the opposite of the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sorry, officer. I was doing 100 because my average speed is supposed to be 35 and it's a red light day. Probably not going to cut it.
Exactly. Perfectly understandable. So sorry, ma'am. You should hit 125 on the way out just to make up for this stop.
Yes, because I've slowed you down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But can I give you an escort maybe to help you through the next set of lights? That would be great.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Here's my road book. Just tell me where I'm going. I'll follow you.
Exactly.
Yeah, Liz was out recently and we were doing enduro and we encountered, was it cows?
There was, we had cows. We had hikers. We had people just like, no, it was rock climbers that just had stopped in the middle of the trail. They're all out.
Yeah.
Their doors are on, their forerunners are open. They're wearing their helmets, and we're like, what, are you just going to leave your car here? Like, what's happening? And we're literally having to stop for them. And then they're throwing their doors closed. And it's like, okay, like here goes our time, our speed, everything. We had a couple other vehicles. We had somebody just like coming through this little water crossing in a turn that was like pretty much pulled into the entire road. It was like, okay. The cows were the easy part. They were just hanging out on the sides, I think, after we were done.
Spinning wheels happened more than once. Yeah, just saying.
Yeah, no, you got to make up that lost time. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Enduros are always fun. I like to say missing a turn while tragic is some of the most fun I've ever had. When we're like, okay, you've missed the turn around and go as fast as you're comfortable with to get us back on track. So I think that's exhilarating.
Yeah. So which are the two of you in your team? Like who drives?
I'm the navigator.
Okay.
I'm the driver, or the primary driver. So I was driver last year and did not navigate. With my other partner, she was navigating. And then Avis and I have talked about swapping off some. So I'm learning a lot more of the navigation this year, which after last year, which was my rookie year, I realized I had learned it at Rebel U. I knew kind of how to plot, but like there was so much that was just magic when I was on the rally last year, like looking over at my navigator, and I'm like, what is happening? Like she's asking me questions and I'm like, I don't know how to help. I don't understand like where we like what you're doing on the map. This is just magic. So coming out, I think I froze.
Oh, there's just.
Oh, so coming out of last year,
I
was like, I need to learn more of the navigation. I want to understand it and be better at it. So I've been focusing on that, also focusing on seat time because that's important as the driver. But we've talked about swapping off some and kind of trying to figure out what that looks like for us.
Yeah. Liz is really coming into her stride as a navigator. She's going to be a great navigator. She is a great navigator. But during the rally, she would be fine. I would trust her to navigate for us.
Well, thank you. I definitely get it more now after coming out of it and putting a lot more time in. I'm like, now I can look at the maps and be like, oh, now I understand route planning.
Yeah. And Liz is really gifted in reading maps and topo. How are you guys feeling about that? It took me I'll say about the middle of the rally last year, I was like, oh, the map just sort of like came alive. And I was like, I get it. Like, I finally get it.
Oh, I'd like to hear how my navigator feels about looking at the map, I guess.
I'm still, getting familiar with the topographical maps. It is interesting, but I don't feel uncomfortable reading it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that we're not going to get in the middle of this and I'll be like, oh, I had that all wrong. But I'm hoping not. I'm hoping I'll get it.
Yeah. My first year, I would say things like, it's either very high or very low. And my driver would be like, what? There's topo lines, but I can't tell if they're going up or down.
Got it.
Yeah.
No, but even that is helpful.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You're not looking for something in the middle. If you get to the low ground and it's not there, you got to go up. Right. That's how that shakes out.
Right. It's like, oh, I guess it was the opposite. Up we go.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Like I'm usually a start at the top and work my way down kind of gal. But I think in this instance, I'd be like, let's really make sure it's not down here before we go climbing whatever's between where we are and the high point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel pretty comfortable with all that.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what are you driving for the rally?
We are taking, my husband had a 2019 Tacoma that was his daily, and ever since my first rally, it's been my dream to take a midsize pickup truck. So, he gave it to Liz and I for our rally vehicle.
Oh,
So,
Nice.
yeah.
yeah, and it's a manual, and Liz is a very gifted manual driver as well. So, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, last year I took
She-
our Toyota Tundra, which is not a manual, but I have a little Tacoma that is, and that's normally what I off-road in. And then before that, I had a couple of Jeeps, and they've all been manual. So it's just I love driving stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you're used
But,
to it sounds like you're used to like a longer wheelbase too, which is probably helpful that you're not figuring out that new dynamic while you're at it.
Yeah. Yeah, the Tacoma has a great wheelbase, so I'm very comfortable with it. The Tundra I took last year, I can manage that wheelbase, but it's long, so it's not not preferred. So
Yeah.
I definitely would prefer like the 4-door Jeep wheelbase and the Tacoma wheelbase. So that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and last year some of the trails were pretty narrow for the full size.
Yeah.
Like the Tundra and the Raptors, they were all getting a little brushy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had some tight squeezes with the Tundra last year. There was a couple areas that it was just like, this is where we're going through. I mean, they said it was a one-way, so this has got to be it.
Yeah. I am working on, so one of the things that I'm working on with driving is my tire placement, like still figuring out how to put my tire exactly where it is that I want it to be, because the concept of driving over a rock is like inherently doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, no, I can't possibly drive right over that. I have to go around it. And if the bottom gets banged up, then the bottom gets banged up. So I'm working through, no, you actually want to drive over a lot of big rocky things. But in sort of making that switch in my brain, I was finding that I would, like my passenger side kept getting brushed because I was like, no, I have to avoid this thing. I'm going to push over. I don't care if there's leaves banging against the windows. That doesn't matter. I have to avoid this rock. And,
Yeah.
I'm fixing that, but I was doing a lot of brushing along the side of my Jeep as well, just trying to avoid as many rocks as I possibly could. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so many skills you ladies have to work on. It's crazy.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's mind-blowing. And sorry, I keep saying that. It's just mind-blowing to me. Like I said, very, very inspiring.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
Yeah, we've got to practice
so many challenges at once.
Yes. Yeah, it's been fun. I've done a little bit of kind of traveling around. There's some up in coal country in Pennsylvania. It's about a 2.5-ish hour drive. There's this gigantic, like several 100-acre off-road park. So I've gone up there and done a class. I was just in Connecticut the other weekend doing a class with overland experts. And so, just getting the different terrains and just the more experience of, just because it's a totally different world than just driving down the street, which sounds like it's a super obvious thing to say, but like, we don't think about where's my tire, where's the lowest point of my vehicle. No. We just get in the car and drive. But I mean, even my Wrangler, it now has a rear view camera on it, but didn't when I bought it a couple of months ago. And I was like, wait a minute, you mean I've got to turn around and look behind me? That's not a thing we do anymore. We just look down at the little screen. And so it's been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang, I had a question. I'm so bad at this morning. These dogs have me stressed out. I'm worse than usual today. Did you guys have any questions for us that nobody has answered for you yet?
Oh, probably. I mean, like, how do you do the things? Does that cover it? How do you do all the stuff? We could just take notes.
How do you practice? How do y'all practice the navigating?
So I have a couple of local maps, and I have somebody, usually Liz's husband, Brett, who's very familiar with the format and also very familiar with maps. He looks at Onyx and drops some points and just sends me the latitude and longitude. And then I plot those and find somebody who's willing to drive me around in the desert, and we go chase them.
Okay.
And then I have a Garmin, which isn't really a thing on the East Coast very much, but and so that will give me my latitude and longitude, so I don't have to open up Onyx and see a map. And so that's how I check how close I am.
Gotcha.
Okay.
To the point. Yeah. So yeah, you said you got some local maps, so that's really good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like even in the city you can do that. You can find, places around town.
Okay.
I think that's a really good way to do it.
Yeah, I wanted to try, somebody recommended last year the like geocaching, because there's
Oh yeah, that
because then you can get all the little coordinates for them and stuff, and you're like going and finding these little known points and stuff, and I just thought that would also be fun.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I would think you guys said Jessup, right? I would think there's a lot of geocaching around there.
Yeah, probably. I mean, Jessup is like basically right between us.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like a middle point. But and it took us a minute to kind of figure out how or where to get the maps in the right scale of the local area, but we finally got them. And so I think it might be a little easier to kind of figure out, are we where we're supposed to be if we pick, if we've got other teammates essentially that can kind of give us a list of points and know that it's actually a very specific place, so that we can kind of figure out if we are where we're supposed to be, even though we're not out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds super helpful. Somebody that's already like verified that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we did a road book last week. I went and picked her up after work. I was in like high heels, and we got in the Jeep, and I had built it not for anywhere in particular, but just kind of clicked around in Rally Navigator and just made a route. And we went through a neighborhood. I was like, these will be some quicker turns. We've got less time to kind of get the instructions and reset everything. And it gave us our first chance to work through malfunctioning equipment.
And roads that aren't really there.
True. Yeah, the map didn't actually work because we would be at a dead end where it went onto a dirt road up to the front of somebody's house, and it said turn left. We're like, well, there's no left here. But yeah, I had just put in a new head unit in my Jeep. So the Terra Trip, which had been up in the, up on the dash in the window, was down lower, and it had screwed up. It was the first time we were using it since putting it down there. And so the GPS probe just was not, it would turn on, but then it wouldn't actually count any distance. I'm like, all right, well, how are we going to do this without anything that's counting our distance? And we got lucky that we still had the Rally Navigator app on our phones from Rebel U. And so we just quickly opened that up because that's got the odometer on it. But we're like, all right, so we've got to solve some problems. We've got gear that doesn't work, but we're in the Jeep and we're moving. So we've got to figure this out. And we both made it home. So it went fine.
It worked out.
Yeah. We learned that we can't ignore the distance, because we were driving and we saw the name of the street that we were supposed to turn on, but it was like 2.9 kilometers.
Yeah, and we hadn't gone that far yet.
Yeah, we've gone like maybe
2 ways
half
to get on that road.
Yeah, but we saw the road name. We were like, oh, this must be it. And turned, and they were like, wait a minute, that's no, we haven't, we've gone a fraction of the distance. Let's get back to where we were and just stay where we're supposed to be. So we're kind of figuring out those things we need to be mindful of as we're moving through the course.
Yeah. So your Terra trip did you figure it out? Did you fix it?
Yeah, it just kind of needed to be recalibrated essentially. Cause like the next day I picked it up and put it into the passenger seat and it worked immediately. So it was just kind of the GPS probe needed to be reminded that it knows what it's doing. So
interesting.
Yeah.
And then, so that's the same one, like you'll travel out with that or ship it out and use that in your Barlow Jeep?
I think we'll probably take it as a backup because I believe the Jeep is going to have one equipped. So, but I do think we'll plan to take it as a backup just in case. Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I noticed last year when Nat and I were training, we did some in San Diego, so we did we tried to do some little enduros there, and it seemed like the GPS struggled more in the city, like the satellites or something, because whenever we would do it around her neighborhood, like the distances were kind of off, or like the turns would be kind of off. And we kept adjusting, like we'd go back and like do Rally Navigator again and adjust it. And it just seemed like the satellites kept having some little issues. And then every time we'd use it out like in the desert, then it would be like kind of more spot on. So I wasn't sure if there was like some interference maybe.
Yeah, I do think like buildings can interfere or other electrical things.
Yeah, could be. It seems to be working now. It just needed a reminder that it knows what it's doing. So, but we were resetting things, turning it off, turning it back on, switching through the probes. I mean, we tried everything we could and then we're like, all right, it's time to pivot and figure out what else we can do so that we can move forward. And we figured it out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good. Good practice for the rally. There's always pivoting that needs to be done.
Yeah. So have you guys discussed your goal? Like, what's your goal for this year's rally?
We'd like to finish.
We'd like to finish it.
Yeah, I think that's about it. I know that negative points are not a thing, but anything below 0 would be great, or above 0 would be great. I think that's about it.
Yeah, that is a fact in the rally. You cannot score below a 0. So
that's good.
Yeah.
If you incur more negative points than you have positive, they just set you to 0, which is pretty encouraging, I think.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think you guys are going to do great.
Oh, well, thanks.
You seem so a lot of people that have completed the rally say that it's life-changing. And I know, Amy, you seem to have had some life-changing events. Do you think the rally will be life-changing?
I don't know. I guess I'm open to it. But it's still such, even with everything, all the ground we've covered over the last couple of months, it's still such an unknown. Like, I don't really think we're going to know what we're in for until, I don't know, maybe we cross the finish line. So in terms of long-term effect, I don't know what that's going to look like.
No idea.
Yeah. I think it's just because of, what our lives are generally, and the cost, certainly, it's not an inexpensive thing to do. I think we're both kind of approaching this as like a once in a lifetime sort of thing. Like, unless some miracle happens, I don't know that we're going to be repeat rebels. So for me anyway, I just, I want to try and get as much out of it as I can, which is why I'm trying to spend the time on the training and learning the skills. Cause I'm still going to have my own Jeep at the end of this that I'll probably go and have some fun with. But, her goal is to finish. We agree about that. But I'd like to, not limp across the finish line as best we're able, and to just kind of make it,
to have some points.
Have been worth it when we get to the end of it. So,
Well, it sounds like you're already making it worth it. You're taking every opportunity and you're learning a bunch and just living every moment.
Yeah. It's
So, go ahead.
go ahead.
Team Tiny Riot. I have to ask, where does that name come from?
That's what I wanted to do.
Well, I mean, neither of us are like particularly big people. We were in stature. We were Charlotte Davis. We're talking before. Charlotte's 4'11".
Not a big person.
And so, we're just kind of crashing through this thing. So it just kind of fit.
Yeah, Riot was definitely a good choice.
Yeah.
That's the word you identify with.
Yeah.
Because picking a name is not easy. Like, you want to identify it. You want it to say something a little bit about you. There's all these kinds of words as women that we just don't want in our team names.
Yeah. So it just kind of, we were just sort of spitballing a little bit, and it came up. We were like, yeah, but that's the one. We're done. Yeah.
Excellent. I love it. All right. I think we're going to wrap this up, ladies. We really want to thank you for joining us today. And I can't wait to see you guys not only on the finish line, but not only on the start line, but at the finish line.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. I have really high hopes for you guys. I think you're going to do great.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, thanks. Thanks for having us. It's been fun. We've really enjoyed the just the community of the Rebels. Like, it's not any fun if you're doing great and everybody else is struggling, and the community really reflects that, like, it's a competition, of course, but everybody's really in this thing together. And so as rookies who have a lot of questions and a lot of ground to cover, that's been, it's made me at least feel very welcomed. And, like we do have some resources to kind of pull this thing together.
It has been helpful.
Yeah.
The community is amazing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.